From Washington, the McLaughlin Group, the American original. For over 3 decades, the sharpest minds, best sources, hardest talk. The McLaughlin Group is brought to you by Siemens. Every day, Siemens Answers are helping build the future of America. Siemens Answers.
Are you still sleeping?
I just wanted to check and make sure that we were on schedule.
The first technology of its kind.
Mom and Dad, I have great news.
Is now providing answers families need. Siemens Answers.
Issue 1, VA damage control.
So today I want every veteran to know we are going to fix whatever is wrong. If these allegations prove to be true, it is dishonorable, it is disgraceful, and I will not tolerate it, period.
The White House went into full damage control this week as the scandal over falsified records of wait times at Veterans Administration hospitals mushroomed. As the nation heads into the Memorial Day weekend, a time of sacred remembrance of the sacrifices made by our nation's military over the 238 years since the Revolutionary War, the VA scandal spreads nationwide. There are now 26 hospitals, not the 10 hospitals the Obama administration told Congress last week, under investigation for hiding lengthy waiting periods for medical treatment by falsifying computer records. At the Phoenix, Arizona VA hospital alone, veterans waited as long as 400 days to see a doctor, but the records were falsified to show appointments were completed within 12 days. At Phoenix, the VA was doctoring the records, not doctoring the patients. 40 veterans died while awaiting medical treatment. That number may grow to more than, brace yourself, 1,000 nationwide if similar patterns are uncovered at the other VA hospitals now finally under investigation. If so, it will pose a severe test of credibility for President Obama. Here's the pledge he made to veterans when campaigning 7 years ago in a 2007 speech before the veterans of foreign wars.
When I am president, building a 21st century VA to serve our veterans will have an equal priority to building a 21st century military to fight our wars.
Question, why did President Obama wait nearly 3 weeks to speak out on this scandal? Pat Buchanan.
John, I don't know, but his speaking out so far has been pathetic, and this scandal is really going to be a terrible one. First off, people understand vets being denied medical care and dying, and then people cooking the books. Everybody understands it. Secondly, it's going to metastasize because more and more of these hospitals, you can bet, are doing the same thing. Third, in this scandal, John, unlike Benghazi, the mainstream media is really on this case, and they are going to move it. And fourth, this goes to the heart of American liberalism, which is the idea that big government programs and government agencies are caring. They're the people that do the job best. They're the ones we ought to entrust with the people of this country and their health and all the rest of it. And this just shoots a hole in the basic argument of American liberalism and the basic premise of the Obama administration.
Susan.
One of the most damning things for the Obama administration are the individual stories you're hearing from veterans who are coming forward, or their widows or family members of people who have died, coming forward and talking about the frustration of waiting weeks and weeks, or having to somehow prove that your injury came from combat or is service related. I mean, I've heard stories of people just waiting months and months to confirm these facts, these basic facts, after having served combat in Vietnam and other wars. And I think what it has done is open up a conversation about what this means for the future of our health care, aside from being just atrocious for the veterans. What does it say about the ambitions of, the government in terms of running health care for all, which is where it kind of seems like we're heading with this health care reform law? I think it has people wondering, well, this is happening to our veterans. Do we want the government running our health care? I think that question has certainly been posed.
Rich.
Well, in fairness, the VA has been poorly run and had these sort of problems delivering quality, timely care for decades. But this is happening on the president's watch. It's something he talked about before the campaign and has pledged across the years to fix, and he hasn't. But the fundamental point is the one Pat and Susan makes, that this is really the left's ideal version of health care. No insurance companies, no private doctors or hospitals, no real competition, and it has been an ongoing disaster. And unless you have consumer choice and consumer power, the bureaucracy is always going to rule and serve its own interests, is what we're seeing here.
President Obama gave Shinseki a week to get back his findings. Is that sufficient time?
I'll tell you, if he had more than a week, he'd find that there'd be a lot of findings that he would be even more unhappy with. When he starts off that portion that you had on the screen, and he said, I want every veteran to know this. And then he tells what he's going to, every veteran knows that they're getting and have gotten lousy treatment. And that is not going to go away. That is a huge black mark, frankly, on this country, because these are people who have put their lives on the line to defend this country, and it is just outrageous that it has gone this way, and there's no excuse for it at this stage of the game. This is so widespread, it's been going on for such a long time. What it tells you is that nobody was paying attention. That is just unacceptable. It's unacceptable on any level, but it's unacceptable when you have people who have put their lives on the line for the country.
How does this figure into it? There is a time crunch here. The president is due over Normandy, France, on the 6th of July,
This is a public
on the
relations
6th of
disaster.
June.
It's public relations.
Now, is he trying to stay ahead of this,
Well, no,
or is
he's behind the curve, and he's trying to catch up with it.
Does he want to shut it down?
John, you cannot shut this down.
Right.
Susan's point is well taken. You're going to have one anecdote and one story from one community after another, after another, after another, because these are things television and press can really relate. It's unlike what happened at Benghazi is one episode. And as these things go on and he goes to Normandy, I think he's got just a hellish public relations problem, as we got a hellish
We're
national
talking about
problem.
the D-Day landings in Normandy.
June 6th.
It really is a hellish situation.
And there's no quick fix. I mean, this is an endemic, systemic problem that's deeply ingrained to how this institution works. There's no quick turnaround here.
So who do we lay that up against? The previous heads of...
It's the design of the VA itself, which really predates modern American medicine and needs to be fundamentally rethought. So yes, heads should roll throughout the system, starting with Shinseki and every one of these liars at any of these facilities, but you really need to rethink how the VA works in a fundamental way.
So it has to be a prolonged, somewhat prolonged and deep probe of the system.
It's going to take a long time.
They are going to have to literally restructure how at least they account for their medical care.
They've got to
have some way of establishing whether or not these people are getting cured or getting help.
John, this
It
could
is
be
an
worse.
it
This
is a
could be
disgrace
worse.
what's been going on.
This could be worse, I mean, politically. This could be worse than Obamacare for the administration this coming November, in my judgment. But you're right, it's going to take years if they're going to rebuild, restructure, and alter this whole system. I wonder if they are, but they really ought to get both parties involved in it.
There will be examples that everybody can understand and relate to when you know somebody who didn't get appropriate medical care, but particularly when they lied about it. I mean, this is just unacceptable. People will understand what was going on, and there will be a huge political price, and deservedly.
Everybody's got some member of their family that was in Vietnam or World War II or Korea or Iraq or Afghanistan.
Did Reagan have any apparatus in his presidency for a group or a person or a committee, internal committee, to examine upcoming problems that could develop throughout the administration?
Well, the only thing we had
Has Obama done anything like that?
Well, we had Iran-Contra, but that wasn't all that pleasant, to be very honest. So they had a bipartisan investigation of that, and we cooperated wholly with it. That's what I think Obama ought to do, though. If I were, I would get out front and say, look, this is a real problem. It's an American problem. It's on my watch, and get out in front of this thing. But I think it's going to bleed and bleed and bleed him.
And what you get from him is rhetoric. You know, I really was in favor of it.
I agree.
But what happens? There's no execution. There's no implementation of a plan.
The 70th anniversary of Normandy. What a horrible box to be in. Issue 2, the empire strikes back.
This is a terrible situation. Boko Haram, this terrorist organization that's been operating in Nigeria, has been killing people and innocent civilians for a very long time. We've always identified them as one of the worst local or regional terrorist organizations there is out there. But I can only imagine what the parents are going through. So what we've done is we have offered, and it's been accepted, help from our military and law enforcement officials. We're going to do everything we can to provide assistance to them.
President Obama joined with France, Britain, China, and Israel in a multinational search last week for more than 284 teenage Nigerian girls held captive by an Islamic terrorist group known as Boko Haram. Last month, 276 girls were kidnapped from the government girls' secondary school in Chibok in northern Nigeria. This month, another 8 girls between the ages of 12 and 15 were abducted in a second kidnapping. The leader of Boko Haram, Abubakar Shekau, has said variously that some of the girls have been married to his adherents, or that he will sell the girls into slavery, or that he is willing to negotiate their return in exchange for the liberation of Boko Haram prisoners held by the Nigerian government. Nigeria's president, Goodluck Jonathan, has ruled out negotiations with the militants, nor has President Jonathan deigned to meet with the parents of the captive schoolgirls, whose street protests went viral on social media, attracting one particularly influential supporter, First Lady Michelle Obama. Surveillance drones are among the resources the U.S. is using to find the girls. America is sharing its intelligence with Nigeria, including the sobering news that the girls have been split into multiple groups spanning the countries of Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon, and Chad to foil any rescue mission. British Prime Minister David Cameron warns that the world must act speedily before the girls literally disappear across the continent of Africa.
Question, is a high-risk rescue mission in the offing? And if so, what are the stakes for President Obama and America's standing in the world? Rich Lowry.
No, I don't believe a high-risk operation is in the cards. I think we're probably doing the most we can reasonably do now. These people are loathsome bastards, there's no doubt about it, but the government is very weak, corrupt, and heavy-handed, so we should do what we can to kind of nudge the government towards having better capacities and fighting this fight in a more reasonable way. But in terms of going and finding these girls in that forest, I don't believe it's going to happen.
Let me dissent. I'm a non-interventionist, John, but let me dissent here. I do think we ought to do everything we can to help them locate those girls. But if they do locate them and they do find them in a group, there's no group in the world that could do as well as the United States of America as a possibility of an Entebbe-type rescue of these girls. And because the world's attention is focused on it, and because everybody would be behind you, if they felt they could do it with some safety and get some of those girls or all of them out, I would support it.
Is this more high risk than Jimmy Carter's rescue mission that turned into a debacle?
The Desert Fiasco. The Desert Fiasco. No, our planes and helicopters crashed in the middle of that desert. No, Nigeria, quite frankly, is not Iran. Carter was sending those guys right into downtown Tehran to rescue our hostages. Now, I don't know how they were going to do that with all those people there, but this would not be that risky.
Well, there's a lot of rough terrain in Nigeria, and there are a lot of dispersed tribes all over the place.
Can you imagine if the United States would endeavor to go and rescue those girls and bring them to their families safely? What an amazing event that would be for the president. Imagine his popularity would go through the roof. It's probably the best thing that could happen to him right now if he were to try to carry that out.
Good for America and good for the world.
It'd be good for, I mean, nobody would, I can't imagine how anyone really opposing that mission.
Look at the obverse of it. Suppose something goes wrong and hundreds of people are killed.
Well,
right, there'll be people questioning
What's the limiting principle, though? I mean, you have 100,000 people killed and dead in Syria over the last couple of years. We're not lifting a finger. But on this, we're going to go in and save these girls. Now, everyone wants the girls to be rescued and saved, but why? You know, there are horrible incidents all around the world all the time that we could save the people, but we don't because there is be no limiting principle on U.S. intervention in that case.